I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you are uniforms too. I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too, Mr.
Hello, my lovely students. I believe all of you are doing well. Well, because of the situation at hand, we want to bring the classroom to your various homes. So, I've tried to give you these practical guidelines to help you design your database using Microsoft Access. We're supposed to have this as practical in the lab, but all of you know what is happening now. So let us try as much as possible to follow these practical guidelines to help us design our own database as we are still in the house. For this tutorial, we want to learn how to design database using Microsoft Access. So we are going to talk about 4 major components. That is what you call Access objects. You will first learn how to create a table, then you will design a form, then also you look at how to run a query as well as a report. So we are going to look at table, form, query and report. That's what we are going to learn for this tutorial. But for the first part of this tutorial, we want to look at only the table aspect. In the next tutorial, we will look at how to create or design our own form. Then the others will follow suit. So pay attention, get your laptop, make sure that you have Microsoft Office 2013 or 2016. If possible, you have 2010, you can still follow this tutorial to create your own database. So let us get started. Alright, now let's first launch our Microsoft Access on our laptop. Alright, once Access is opened, you're going to have this kind of display or this interface on your screen. You're going to see what they call the custom web application or a blank database. Just locate the blank database or desktop database for these practicals. The web one is actually used when you want to connect to the internet. I want to create just a desktop application, so you move forward to the blank database. So click on the blank database, then a new menu will pop up on your screen or a pop-up window. This window tells you to put in your database name, the name of your database. So for this study, we want to build a database for an institution. So our database name will be called Student Management System. Student Management System. That's our database name. So type your database name at the field where you see the file name. Once you are done, just click on Create to create your own database. Alright, you are going to see a new interface on your screen. At the left side, you see a table 1. Before we start to work with database, you have to first create your table. We all know that tables are made up of rows and columns, and tables stores your database information or data, as we discussed in the classroom. So let us try to identify some of the names of this interface. Now over the left, you have the file menu. Sometimes it's called File tab, TAB. You have the Home tab, the Create tab, External Data, Database 2, Field, and Table. All these are tabs that you have. Under each tab, or for each tab, there is a box over here. We have a view, clipboard, sort and filter, records, find, text formatting. This box over here. The box is divided by a line segment or segmentation. Now this box alone is what you call a ribbon. A ribbon. So you have a ribbon. Home ribbon, that is called a clipboard. We have home ribbon for sort and filter. We have home ribbon for records and the others. For each ribbon, there is some kind of command on it. So over here you have what they call the paste, the cut, copy, and format painter. These commands are called controls, or sometimes in books they say commands. So for every tab there is what they call a ribbon, and for every ribbon there is controls on it. Hope you get it clear. Alright, now before we create our database or create or define our table, we have to rename our table. In Access Database, when you are renaming table, we use what they call the table prefix. For instance, when you name a table, what you do is that you add the prefix of the table from the beginning before the actual name you want to use for the table. So I will say for this table or for this tutorial, our table name is going to be TBL student. The TBL is the prefix of the table, and the student is the name of the table. So you are going to name our table TBL student. Alright, so how do you do that? Just right click on this tab. This is a tab over here. Right click on this tab, then click on save. Click on save. You see a save as box on your screen. Then type in the name of your table. So our table name is TBL student. Now remember, don't allow space in between the TBL and the student. Remember not to put space in between the table prefix and the table name. If you want to use space, use what they call the underscore on your keyboard. Underscore, like this. But don't bring space in between it, because when you go to query, it will create a problem. So TBL underscore student is more preferable. When you are done, click on OK. Then you see the table 1 name here will be changed into TBL student. So we are done now. Now how do you continue with our table? At this stage we have to define our attributes, because the student now has become an entity, and you have to get the things that will describe the student. That is what you call as attributes, or the characteristics of the student is what you know as attributes. So we have to define attributes for the student. So how to do that? Now you first have to get the list of attributes that you want to put into the system before you design. So for this study we are going to use few attributes to describe the student. Now let's get it done. At the left side you see view. In table we have two types of view that I want to discuss: the design view and datasheet view. When you click on this small arrow box to tell you or show you the type of view you have in table, currently you see we are at datasheet view because you see a box, dark box, or a thin line around this one. It means that where we are now, we are at what we call the datasheet view. You cannot define your attributes whilst you are at the datasheet view. You have to go to your design view. So now let's get to the design view to define or put in our attributes. So click on the design view. Then we are going to have a new screen or a new interface. Now for a new interface, this is where we're going to define our attributes. You will see field name, data type, and description. Now the field name is where you're going to put your attributes, or put all your attributes here. The data type here, you have to specify the kind of information you want to put it to that particular attribute. For instance, when you go online and you see a field called name, another one called index number, where you see index number, you can't put a name there because that field has been assigned to take only numbers. So when you put a name there, it will never work. Or when you put letters or alphabet over there, it will never work. So what you do is that you have to key in the exact information that the fields require. So over here, we want to define our attributes and see the correct data type that will match the attribute. The first thing that we see here is what we call a primary key. There is a key beside the field or the first field here, a primary key. Now this key makes sure that you don't have duplicates of records. That is, no two people can have the same index number. So when it happens that way, the system will reject it. When you enter a record that is already in the system and you want to re-enter the same record again, the system will prompt you that please no, that record is already in the system. And this is done by the primary key. So the function of the primary key prevents duplicate of the records. So now let's start. Now let's put in the student attribute. The first one is what they call the student name. I did not use space, I use what they call underscore. No, student name will not work. If you put a field, a primary key for student name, it will not work. So the first one is what you call student number or student index number. Student index. Now for student index, let's select data type called number, because index number for student over here is number. If I select auto number, it means that the system automatically assign numbers to the student ID, which we don't want that way. So let's select data type called number. Right. Then we go to the next attribute, student name. Remember, I'm using underscore because database we don't leave space. We are designing a table. Name, let's use short text. Short text. Then we have gender. Now when it comes to gender, there's something unique here you have to know. For gender, do not use text. For gender, click on the arrow, drop down arrow to locate lookup wizard. Then click on it. Wait for it to open. Now when it opens, you see this dialog box on your screen. When it opens, you're going to see a dialog box on your screen. That gives you two options. Neglect the first one and select the second one. Once select the second one, click on next. So define your gender as you want it to be. So the first one is male. Then click on the next box beneath it, then type female. When you are done, click on next. Then click on finish. Remember, you still see text here, so don't expect to see male and female here. Let's get to the next attribute. Type in age. Age, use what they call number. Let's go to the next one. Type in level. When it comes to level, because we know we have 4 different levels, let's define them using what we call the lookup wizard. Things that is there that you can define, or what they call categorical data that you can define, just put them there. Select the second option, then click on next. Enter the level in the field. Then click on next, then click on finish. We are good to go. Let's enter the last thing, date of birth. I'm using DOB for date of birth, so click on it, then click on the date and time data type. Yes, so now we've able to define 5 attributes. Now for each of these attributes, it has its own properties below here. Watch this. When I click on the index number, the property over here will change. I'm saying that for each of these attributes here, it has its own properties below. When I click on student name, the properties will change. Click on gender, properties will change. Click on age, properties will change. All these fields here have its own properties, as you can see below here. So now let us try to define some of the properties very well. For instance, when it comes to name, click on its properties here. We have general. The field size is 255. It means that at the name field, you can enter a maximum character of 255 in the field. When you type beyond 255, it will not work. So it requires what? 255 or less than 255. Yes. So now let's see how it works. But before then, let's also get to know the properties of others. When it comes to gender, remember gender, we use what we call lookup wizard. So click on lookup wizard here to see the gender that you defined over there. So you don't see it at where this side, but you see it at where at the properties. The same thing applies to what the level. When you go to lookup wizard, you see what the levels are defined here. That is how database works. So you define all the fields or define all your attributes in the field. Make sure that you define all your attributes in the field and you select each respective data type to be assigned to it. If not, it will not work. Now we've done by creating what we called our field. Let us now add one lovely function. Assuming that I want to put a student picture as part of the database, how do you do that? Let's do that. Picture. So type pics. Then at the data type, select attachment for picture. Attachment for picture. And that is all we are done. Now this is design view of our table. Design view of our table. So let's go and see how it will be represented at the datasheet view. So you can go to the left side, you go to view, click on it. So currently we are at where? Datasheet view. That's why there's what? A dark red box around it. So now let's go to datasheet view. Click on it. There's some ask you have not saved this field. Do you want to save it? Just click on yes. Then this is how your data is going to be stored in the table. So you can see how it looked like now. So now let's try and add some data in the table. So the first one is student index number. So I'll type some. Go to name. Then when it comes to gender, click on it like this. You see this tip lock down or this drop down arrow. Click on it, select your gender. Type in your age. Type in your level using a drop down, because for level we use what they call lookup wizard. Date of birth. When you click on it, you see a small box called date packer. Click on it, then it help you to navigate or select the date that you were born on the system. Select any date, then click on OK. When you get the picture, you click on a picture. You will see this sign. If you want to add a picture, double click on it like this. Double click on it, a box will appear on your screen. Then you see add. So click on the add. Then to ask you, where do you have your pictures that you want to add? So I'll go to the first student picture, get a picture from my machine. Select any of the pictures that I have here. Okay. Now I see the picture added to this side. So I say okay. Then I'll see one. It means that the picture, I've already added one picture in my database now. Alright, so let's try and add more data or records to it. Alright, so now you have enough data in the database now. So that's how data are being stored in a table. So you have the student ID, student name, gender, age, level, and what date of birth. This is how to create a simple table. So if you want to go back to the design view, at your left side you go to view, click on the view, you will see design view. Click on it so you can come back to your design view if you want to enter more attributes or more field names to the database. I hope you understand this first part of creating table. Now let us apply some properties to some of the fields in the table. For instance, let's go to student name. Click on the name. When you click on the name, the properties will come here. Realize it. Or click on the index number. Properties will come here. So now let's go back to the datasheet view and enter an index number that is already in the system to see what will happen. So go back to the datasheet view, then let us have our view like this. Now I have this index number 10223322. I want to enter the same index number again. Let's see what the system will do. 10 223322. I've entered the same index number over here in the system. Let me go to the next page. So they are the same. So let's add a name. Samuel hand wash. I see. The changes you requested to the table were not successful because they will create duplicate values in the index primary key or relationship. Change the data in the field or fields that contain duplicate data remove the index or redefine the index to permit duplicate entries and try. This means that you cannot have the same index number twice in the system. So this primary key prevents what we call duplicates of records or duplicates of data. Alright, when it happens that way, click on escape to delete the records and go back to your design view. Hope you understand how to create a simple table. The next video we'll learn how to create a form. Make sure you keep your data because we're going to use the same data to build a group. Practice on this and do more examples. Try and create a table for employees in a company. So you can use the field names as or attribute as employee's name, employee's ID, employee's position, employee's department, gender, qualification, age, address, phone number. Try and design your own table and practice with it. Next video, look at how to create a form with the table. Have a nice day.
No, 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 no. Oh, yeah. I'm in chains, you're in chains too. Our uniforms and you are uniforms too. I'm a prisoner, you're a prisoner too.